Alright, welcome back to Age of Empires 2. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Extreme AI. This is my first win against the Extreme AI. I used a bunch of quirks that I learned in my first 3 attempts. So this is my 4th attempt. I'm playing as the Vietnamese. I'm playing as the Vietnamese because the Vietnamese have an amazing bonus that allows you to see the starting positions of all of the enemy players. So that's going to allow me to get a villager forward a little bit faster than I normally would. Change this over so you can see the villager count and the score. We'll speed this up a little bit. So far, standard build order. I'm moving around with the sheep, trying to scout with them, moving my scout around, except we've got a villager that we're sending forward. I'm going to finish this first loop with the scout and then send it back to guard. So my first attempt I just played standard, and the Extreme AI beat me handily. The second and third attempt I tried to go for gold. I did pretty well trying to wall in gold, but the Extreme AI was relatively fast to recover. So first quirk we're going to see here, even without loom, if the Extreme AI attacks with the scout and you hit it back, it'll tend to go back towards the town center as long as you're close. I'm going to use that in combination with another quirk that, if you build forward, the response is normally for the Extreme AI to send more villagers out to attack the villager that you have building. But it's also programmed to retract all of its villagers if you attack their villagers with any military units. So I can just bounce back and forth, attacking any villagers it sends to attack my villager with my own scout, and attacking its scout with my villager and my scout. And I should be able to get all these walls up. So that was pretty close. I'm 1, maybe 2 hits away from losing that villager, but again, even though it could finish this off relatively easily, it's not going to, because as long as my scout hits anything close to it, it won't get another hit off on my villager. In the meantime, I still have this boar over here that's not really doing anything. I finished successfully walling in all of the resources for the berries, so I decided I'm going to go ahead and wall in that boar, and then maybe create a mill and try to get the second half of that boar's food out for myself. So I had a lot of wood here, but I wasn't really paying attention. My base is kind of a mess. I've been so focused on the forward, trying to make that mill, trying to wall in the berries, trying to make sure that the villager stays alive, that I haven't actually pulled in any of the boars myself. So I'm going to pull the scout back, now that my villager is safely capturing food, and start to focus on my eco again. I say that, but I just idled my whole wood line, and I've had this guy sitting idle for quite a while. There we go. So I've got one villager out building houses that'll turn into something of a wall. I don't think I ever complete it. And I'm starting to collect my boars. Now normally by this point I would have collected both boars. But again, since I was so focused on the forward, we're a little bit behind. In fact, we are 4 villagers behind right now, but in another quirk of the AI, if all of one resources is walled in, whether that's the primary gold or the primary berries or the primary stone, the villagers that are queued to go to that resource will end up idling outside. The AI does eventually account for this and starts creating farms. If I pull off the farming war for a minute, you can see it's created a lot more farms than it normally would have. But I was still able to idle initially 6, and now I'm down to 5, I think, villagers that are just idling themselves outside the berries. Okay, now I did finish collecting all of that boar, so I don't really need that villager forward anymore, so I'm going to pull it back. Again, a little quirk of the AI. It had a scout available, but it didn't keep the scout on the villager or try to break in at all, so I was able to get that back home. And I hit feudal first, which is the first time that I've been able to do that against the Extreme AI, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. And I rush up 2 archery ranges. Now, previously I had gone scouts and had some success hitting resources with the scouts, so as I go around, I can see he's got a couple villagers on gold. I don't want to take those off, but my priority before I do that is to take villagers off of food. So I'm going to produce as many archers as I can. I was not on gold when I should have been on gold, so I don't have enough gold to just make archers. So I'm mixing in a couple skirmishers. I'm going to send those on standby mode to sit at those farms and take them off as long as I can. Okay, so I just switched them to stand ground. We are still 2 villagers behind, but they've got so many idols out here that I think economically we're actually ahead. Pull off the fog of war again. So the AI has moved all of those villagers that were on gold over to stone and is starting to save up for a castle. With all of the villagers that we've pulled off of farms and berries, there's only one active farm, so I decided to go in for that with the scout. Ended up losing to the TC fire. Meantime, building another stable forward so I can get these scouts out a little bit faster, since they seem to be losing those the fastest. And he starts to rush out this castle. I was a little bit concerned about the castle, concerned because I've got nothing for castles in the feudal age. So I moved my archers a little bit closer, trying to take out the villagers, seeing if I can deny the castle. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. He's rushing that up pretty quickly. So I'm sending all of the new archers that I create to just sit underneath, and I'm hoping I can get close enough that without murder holes he won't be able to hit me. That scout dying, but buying me enough time to sit the archers underneath. And in another quirk of the AI, move this back to his view. He's garrisoned right now 13 villagers inside that castle, and he won't ungarrison as long as I have some archers underneath. And without a university, he's not able to research murder holes in order to hit the archers, so I'm safe. He did have this Machinelle that he sent out, which ended up wiping out 4 of my archers. And I'm able to take it out with the scout, and he doesn't have the resources because he's got nothing on gold in order to replace it. I also moved all of the archers and skirmishers that we had a little bit more south so that I could deny that wood line at the same time. He has one wood line I haven't found yet with 5 villagers, the second wood line I haven't hit yet with 2 villagers, and really nothing else. So I'm tasking new stuff that I create to just kind of sit around the gold, make sure that he can't get that. I'm also leaving a couple scouts here by the mill, in case he decides to send villagers out that way. We've denied this mill completely, he still doesn't have berries. Okay, so here he comes with a couple villagers going the opposite direction to get food. But I'm already there with the scout and a couple archers, so I can mop that up. Although we've been losing scouts to the TC fire, the villagers he has left are low enough that I can start to mop them up whenever they get out. Economically, back at the base, we're looking a lot more sound now. And we're in castle. So I figured now that we're in castle, in order to close this out, I need either a siege workshop or a castle of my own in range of the TC. So I've got this villager forward that we're building while I wait in order to get enough resources to make that castle. And I finally get the resources, so I'm building that castle with a single villager. Even though that's only one villager, I'm just out of range of the other castle. And I've got enough crossbowmen queued out of the archery range that I think I should be safe from any villagers that he sends to try and deny that. I'm also starting to rush up a siege workshop here with more villagers. I'm on 3 TCs now, or will be soon. That's going to give me some gold income, enough that I can build some rams and hopefully ram down that castle. At this point the game's pretty much over. And villager count, I'm almost 3 times the villagers. However, The situation is a little bit worse than that because all of his villagers were idle. So looking at the score, he has a higher military score, mostly because of the castle and TC fire that were taking out my units, also a higher society score. I guess because he had a castle up. The villager count's a little bit deceptive because he had those 15 idols inside of his castle. If we go back to the map, here, 15 villagers that sat and did nothing for maybe 10-15 minutes in that game. So the Extreme AI has a lot of quirks. We can kind of exploit it to our advantage if we go forward early. I don't think there's any way that I can beat the Extreme AI where I am right now if we played Standard, but it's still a lot of fun. So Age of Empires 2, probably my favorite game of all time. If you guys want to give a shot at the Extreme AI, hopefully this will help you out, and we'll see you next time.